Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Saturday, everybody. Hope your day and your weekend are off to a fantastic start. Got a new day, which of course means a new MLB Player Prop video to share with you guys. But first, as always, people, please make sure to go ahead, hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. It helps the channel grow, and it really does mean a ton to us. With a new day comes some new opportunities to go ahead and make some money. I have 4 MLB Player Props to go ahead and share with you guys in today's MLB slate. But first, before we dive into today's picks, guys, a quick little recap of how we did last night. And look, we got a little ambitious yesterday with our 6-leg parlay. It obviously did not hit 3 out of 6 legs hit. We did have a couple nice player props in there. Unfortunately, we just couldn't come through with it. So unfortunate, obviously plus 840 odds. It was a long shot to begin with, but we hopefully hit a couple more than just half of the legs, but it is what it is. Losing sucks, but that's in the past. That was yesterday. We're on to a new day here. I'm feeling very confident and very excited about the player props I have to share with you guys in today's video. So with all that being said, no more time to waste. Let's dive right into today's picks. All right, guys, jumping right into the outlier screen. Our first player prop in today's video. We got an early one here. We have Tigers-Rays, 12:10 p.m. first pitch. We have Kerry Carpenter of the Detroit Tigers under 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. I'm grabbing this personally for -125 over on DraftKings, but is available on multiple sports books for varying odds. As always, guys, make sure to go ahead and shop around for the best sportsbook odds available. And the data on this one is very solid. You see 9 of his last 10 games, but to be more specific, 9 consecutive games, Kerry Carpenter has cashed this under, averaging just 0.6 hits, runs, RBIs per game over his last 10 games. Obviously, the last time he cashed the over back on June 8th, he did have a massive performance with 3 hits and 1 run against Chicago. But he's been on a pretty consistent run of cashing the under here. Even the last 20 games, 80% hit rate, 16 of his last 20 games, he's cashed the under, averaging 1.1 hits, runs, RBIs per game over the last 20 games. Now, when he smacks the over, he smacks the over. Again, we talked about that June 8th game. Go back to June 2nd, he had 3 hits, 3 runs, 5 RBIs. But in between those 2 games, he had a couple little minor cashes there, but a lot of unders. So pretty good numbers. Then the overall data for 2025, a 61% hit rate on the year, averaging 1.76 hits, runs, RBIs per game this year. And again, it's kind of been the trend this year. He's cashing the under far more than the over, but when he hits the over, he has some pretty solid performances. So like I said, pretty solid data overall. Even looking at the head-to-head numbers, 5 of his last 7 matchups with the Tampa Bay Rays, he's cashed the under. It's a 71% hit rate versus Tampa Bay, averaging 0.71 hits, runs, RBIs per game across the last 7 matchups with the Rays. Now, only 1 of those 7 matches have come from this season. Last night they did play. He had 0 hits, 0 runs, and 0 RBIs in a massive scoring game. Always the worst. If you guys did take the Kerry Carpenter over yesterday, apologies to you. It's the worst feeling when you see 22 total runs scored and he doesn't contribute a single thing to it. But yeah, like I said, pretty good numbers. We don't have to go into the insights provided by Outlier because it just reiterates the fact that he's cashed the under in 9 consecutive games, averaging just 0.22 hits, runs, RBIs per game over the last 9 games. Now, looking down below the key matchup stats here, Kerry Carpenter versus Ryan Pepiot. I'm not going name pronunciations. You guys know this. 9 plate appearances since 2018, so pretty good head-to-head sample size. Not the largest sample size, but decent. Zeros. A lot of zeros there. 0 batting average, 0 OBP, 0 hits, 0 home runs, 0 RBI. So really solid head-to-head numbers there. Now looking at Kerry Carpenter's splits, 249 batting average, 104.9 WRC+. plus. It's fine. Not bad. Not great. Versus right-handed pitchers, you do see those numbers increase. However, in a minute, we'll jump over to the Guy Boss Sports dashboard, and we'll kind of dive into that a little bit more specifically. Because remember, this is the overall data combined for his matchups this year, 222 plate appearances. But we can go ahead and narrow it down to a more recent data range and show you guys. I think that number is a little bit misleading. Ryan Pepiot, he's actually having a really solid year. He's even better versus left-handed batters. 2.55 ERA, 175 batting average, 1.3 home runs per 9, and a 263 WOBA. Really phenomenal numbers versus left-handed batters like Kerry Carpenter. It makes sense why he has so much success against them. So really solid data here. But like I said, jumping over to the GuyBostonSports.com dashboard, which by the way, you guys can have access to these dashboards. All you have to do is become a member. Now there's a couple different membership tiers. You can have just the MLB dashboard. It's $4.99 a month. You get all this information. I'll zoom out a little bit here. All this information for every single game. It's really solid. It's a good little pairing tool if you're using Outlier or any other sports betting tool. Really solid. $6.99 per month for the full membership and access to all the dashboards. we provide here on the website. But anyways, looking at the dashboard, we can narrow it down to the last 30 games. And although Kerry Carpenter, again, going back to outlier, he's been at 260 this year overall versus right-handed pitchers. But over the last 30 games, he's batting just 195. So he's actually hitting a lot worse versus right-handed pitchers than that data on outlier suggests. Again, that's the overall numbers. We're now over 70 games into the year where we can look at last 30, and it actually does mean a lot. 628 OPS, so really solid numbers here in this matchup. And again, going back over to the left side of the screen, Ryan Pepiot, or Pepia, however you want to say it. Again, versus left-handed hitters having a lot of success. 87 whip, 175 batting average allowed, 29.9% strikeout rate. So pretty good numbers. And Tampa Bay's bullpen is very, very strong, one of the best in the league. So even if Ryan Pepiot comes out, the bullpen should be able to go ahead and keep this understeady. So I love this as the first player prop in today's video. All right, guys, our second player prop in today's video, moving on to the Mariners-Cubs game, 2:20 p.m. first pitch. We have Emerson Hancock of the Seattle Mariners under 4.5 earned runs. Now, we're grabbing this for -150 over on DraftKings, available on DraftKings and Novig, kind of a limited number of sportsbook availability there. And I got to be honest, I will admit this because I like to be fully transparent with you guys. This line feels like a trap because it feels way too easy to go ahead and tail. It feels like there's something wrong here. Now, granted, I know the Cubs have one of the best offenses in baseball this year, but this is a really high line. The data is quite literally phenomenal. 9 of his last 10 starts, he's cashed the under, averaging just 2.3 earned runs per game this year, 90% hurry. He's only given up more than 4 runs once. And again, the line's 4.5, so it's 5 or more. He's only given up more than 4 runs once in the last 10 games. We look at the overall data in 2025, an 83% hit rate, 10 out of 12 starts, he's cashed the under, averaging 2.58 earned runs per game this year. Only 2 times this year has he given up more than 3 runs in a game, and it's the first start versus Detroit and this May 12th start versus the Yankees. Besides that, the other 10 starts have been 3 runs or less. So this line, and I get it, the Cubs are one of the better offenses, probably in line with the Yankees. I understand why the line's a little higher. It still just feels a little bit out of place for me. So the recent data is solid. I mean, 5 straight starts, he's cashed the under, averaging just 1.6 earned runs allowed per game over the last 5. The overall season data is really good. Everything looks solid, even from a head-to-head perspective. Now, granted, this matchup with the Cubs was from April of last year, so well over a year ago. The last time he pitched against the Cubs, he had just 2 earned runs allowed in that game. The Cubs offense from last year to this year is definitely different, but still, it's something to look at. And look at the insights provided by Outlier. He's failed to exceed 3.5 earned runs in 7 straight games on the road. Again, we have the line at 4.5. Now, 3.5 is a plus money play. If you guys do want to go ahead and take a look at that, it's worth taking a look at. But we're getting at 4.5, so it's even safer. And we're -150, a little juice on there, but not too bad. The data across the board is absolutely phenomenal. Now, looking at the overall numbers, the Cubs top 10 in pretty much every category except for BA, BIP. From an overall season standpoint, batting average, OBP, slugging, WRC+, they're top 10 in all those categories. Over the last 30 games, they've cooled off just a tad bit, but they are still a very solid offensive team. Jumping on over to GuyBostonSports.com, we can narrow it down to the last 30 days. You do see the Cubs still overall top 10 offense. All these numbers are in the green. Not great when you're betting an under. However, I think this is where we have a very key advantage here. Look at the Cubs versus right-handed pitchers at home. They're bottom 10 in a lot of these categories. Batting average, WRC+, OBP, OPS, ISO, slugging, all very, very low over the last 30 games when they're playing at home and facing off with a right-handed pitcher. And despite Emerson Hancock, his earned run numbers and his numbers in general are pretty solid, you do see here from this point a lot of red, a lot of yellow, looking a little fall, Thanksgiving type colors there, which is not great for us, but he's still having a very solid year. I mean, the 4.40 ERA is surprising when you do look at his overall numbers because he's having a pretty solid season, minus, really 2 bad starts where he had 6 runs versus the Tigers and 7 runs versus the Yankees. He's having a pretty solid year, and he's emerging as one of the better young pitchers in the league. So, I think 4.5 is a very high line based off of what he's been doing lately. I just think it's really solid value. The Cubs offense obviously is very, very solid, but you see those numbers at home versus right-handed pitchers. That, to me, is the big key here when it comes to this player prop. But yeah, I do like this a lot, and I think it's a pretty solid value. The very high line at under 4.5 earned runs. All right, guys, our third player prop in today's video. This might be my favorite player prop in today's slate. We have Braves Marlins, 4:10 p.m. first pitch. We got Ronald Acuna Jr. of the Atlanta Braves over 1.5 total bases. Now available on a lot of different sports books for varying odds. I'm grabbing it myself on DraftKings for -120, so pretty decent value here. And the overall data is solid here. 7 of his last 10 games, he's cashed the over, averaging 3 total bases per game over the last 10 games. So overall this year, we do go ahead and stretch that data out. Now, he's only played 25 games this season for the Braves, but a 60% hit rate in those 25 games, 15 out of 25. He's cashed the over, averaging 2.44 total bases per game this season. Not a massive sample size. He's definitely missed quite a bit of time this year, but pretty solid numbers in general. Looking at the head-to-head data here, pretty good sample size as well. 5 of his last 7 matchups with the Miami Marlins, he's cashed the over. It's a 71% hit rate, averaging 1.57 total bases per game across the last 7 matchups with Miami. Now, only one of those 7 matchups do come from this year, which was yesterday. He did have 2 total bases and was a 6-2 loss for the Atlanta Braves. But still, from a head-to-head standpoint, overall, it's pretty good. And if you look at the insights provided by Outlier, by the way, guys, shout out to Outlier, the sponsor of today's video. We do offer a link down below in the description. 7-day free trial to go ahead and check it out for yourself. It's the best sports betting tool on the market. It's the best that money can buy. You pair this with the Guy Boston Sports member dashboard, and you really do have the best of both worlds when it comes to the data. Outlier is the best. It's my primary use for all this stuff. I use dashboard as a supplement, but this is truly the best that it comes. So I definitely go ahead and check this out. Link down below in the description. Like I said, 7-day free trial to check it out for yourself. Both of them combined, you're going to be unstoppable when it comes to sports betting. But Ronald Acuna Jr. has exceeded 1.5 bases in 4 of his last 5 games on the road, averaging 3 total bases per game over the last 5 road games. Now, looking down below at the key matchup stats, small sample size for kind of both of these guys because they both barely played this year. But Ronald Acuna Jr. versus, and I'm going to butcher this, Yuri Perez. We're just going to say Perez. Ronald Acuna Jr. versus Perez. He's only had 1 plate appearance since 2018, but obviously he did hit a home run off of him. So pretty good numbers. Again, way too small of a sample size to really go off of. But in his 1 plate appearance against Perez, he did hit a home run off of him. Acuna this year having a phenomenal season. 382 batting average, 456 BIP, 32.4% extra base hit percentage, not bad. Versus right-handed pitchers, a smaller sample size, but hitting 437, 500 BIP, excuse me. The extra base hit percentage does go down, which is a little concerning. But again, looking at the matchup here versus Perez, now very small sample size. Only 34 batters faced this year and only 9 right-handed batters faced. But the numbers are very bad. I mean, 6.43 ERA, 276 batting average allowed versus right-handed batters. Again, incredibly small sample size. Take it with a grain of salt. 5.40 ERA, 3.75 batting average allowed. But again, referring back to the GuyBostonSports.com dashboard, look at Ronald Acuna over the last 30 days. His numbers versus right-handed pitchers. He's batting .452 against right-handed pitchers over his last 30 games. So he's having a really solid year. Again, the overall data, he's hitting .437 versus right-handed pitchers in general. Over the last 30 days, .452. So again, he's only played 25 games. So I guess that last 30 data is pretty much hand in hand with his overall numbers, maybe a little bit extra. But look at that OPS too, 1.302 OPS, really phenomenal numbers there. And look at him for his runs above average versus pitch type. Basically, the only pitch that he struggles with is changeup. This whole Braves offense actually struggles with changeup. Well, good news for him. Looking at Perez, he only uses the changeup at 3.4% of his pitches. So very, very few. He very heavily relies on the fastball, 55%. And we go back over here. The Braves, they're about middle of the road when it comes to that number. But looking at Ronald Acuna versus fastball, it's actually it's his best pitch in terms of runs above average. Last 30 games, 6.2 runs above average. So really, really, really phenomenal stuff here with this player prop. I think it's really solid. And just in case, we have a moment of like where they pull Perez early and then what happens next. Miami bottom 10 in all 3 key categories when it comes to bullpen stuff. So Ronald Acuna should very much hit this over. Love this player prop. It's my favorite prop of today's video. If you are watching today's video at this point, guys, please comment Acuna. And we'll go ahead and show you guys how to spell that in case you want to know. A-C-U-N-A. I don't know why I had to look that up. Comment Acuna down below with the accent mark or not if you're watching today's video at this point. As always, guys, appreciate those who watch through each and every single video here on the channel. You know what? We fell short on Freaky Friday yesterday. I want to do something for you guys. Comment Acuna, because I really want to put my money where my mouth is. I think it's my favorite player prop of the video. Comment Acuna, and if it hits, I'll give somebody a free $20 Amazon gift card. We'll do that. So comment Acuna. That'll be for the people who actually watch through the whole video. They'll get access to that giveaway. So comment Acuna down below, and if that player prop, that single player prop over 1.5 total bases cashes, we'll give one lucky commenter a free $20 Amazon gift card. All right, guys, 4th and final player prop in today's video. We have Mets, Phillies, 7:15 p.m. first pitch. We got Brandon Mash. Got to bring out the Boston accent. Brandon Mash, as bad as it is, for the Phillies, over half a hit. We're grabbing this for -140 on FanDuel, but again, it's available on a number of sports books for varying odds. The recent data is very strong here. The overall data not as strong. 9 of his last 10 games, he's cashed the over, averaging 1.4 hits per game over the last 10, including last night versus the Mets, where he had 3 hits in what was a 10-2 win for the Phillies. Even the last 20 data, not bad. 65% hit rate, 13 of his last 20 games, he's cashed the over, averaging 0.9 hits per game over the last 20 games. So far this year, a 45% hit rate on this over. 24 out of 53 games, he's cashed the over, averaging 0.72 hits per game this season. Now, he got off to a really cold start. You look at this little streak of this hitless streak he had. That's at least 10 games there, probably more. He's definitely, I mean, the last 10, obviously, that's when he's been the hottest. But you see, since that really cold start, basically the month of April was just a wash for him, the first half of April. And I mean, basically from April 16th until May 3rd, he doesn't play. So he has that long hitless streak, then he comes back May 3rd. And since May, he's been a lot better. Still has some inconsistency. There's still some cashes on the under there. But overall, he's been hitting the ball pretty well since that little absence from May 16th till May 3rd. And from a head-to-head perspective, 7 of his last 13 matchups with the Mets, he's cashed the over. It's a 54% hit rate, averaging 0.77 hits per game against the Mets. Again, they played 1 so far this year, and he did have 3 hits last night against New York. And the insights provided by Outlier, Brandon Marsh has exceeded half a hit in 8 straight games at home. He's averaging 1.63 hits per game over his last 8 home games. That is, of course, a 100% hit rate. So pretty good numbers there. Looking down below here, Brandon Marsh versus Griffin Canning. Small sample size, only 2 plate appearances since 2018. He did walk in one of those 2 plate appearances, but the other one obviously did not get a hit. Brandon Marsh having a decent year, 266 batting average, 108.4 WRC+, 353 batting BABIP. Versus right-handed pitchers, you do see some increases and some slight decreases. The batting average and hard hitting percentage do increase versus right-handed pitchers. The BABIP and the WRC+ both moderately decrease. Now, Griffin Canning is having an okay season. Versus left-handed batters, you do see his numbers across the board increase, which obviously is very good for us here. Batting average, BABIP, ERA, and FIP, they all consistently increase. But again, referring to the Guy Boston Sports dashboard, looking at the last 30 game batting data for Brandon Marsh. Again, real quick, going back to the overall numbers, solid. 274, 274 batting average versus right-handed pitchers overall this year. Over the last 30 games, though, it's been even better. 346 batting average versus right-handed pitchers over the last 30 days. So that's really, really solid. And, look at his OPS versus right-handed pitchers. 346 batting average, 859 OPS. So really solid numbers there. Of all 4 player props in today's video, this one seems to be probably the riskiest, I'd say, but it's still a very solid player prop with some really solid matchup data. So that's all 4 picks in today's MLB slate. Guys, that is it for me today. Thank you very much, as always, for watching. One more time, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. We'll be back tomorrow. Actually, sorry, Monday, not tomorrow. We'll be back Monday with another MLB player prop video. Until then, guys, I hope you're all winners. We will have our NBA Finals Game 7 player prop video available for tomorrow's game. That's coming out tomorrow. Unfortunately, though, no baseball video tomorrow. We'll be back on Monday, though. So until then, hope you guys are all winners. Enjoy your weekend. Have some fun. Let's go ahead and make some money.